why is it that pro teams constantly seem to be on the same page, while your ranked teams or even lower level collegiate teams seem to fall apart anytime something goes wrong? Well, it comes down to the defining characteristic of organized Valorant: plays and protocol. Firstly, what actually are plays and protocol? Well, it's pretty simple. For the purpose of this video, we'll say that plays are predefined actions a team executes to achieve a goal. As for protocol, we'll define it as predefined rules or guidelines used to increase your conversion percentage. Alright, so now that we have our definitions, let's talk about why they're important in the first place, starting with plays. Plays serve two primary purposes in competitive Valorant, but also in almost every situation where they're employed, whether that be traditional sports like football, soccer, or basketball, or other esports like Counter-Strike or Rainbow Six Siege. The first is to help the team stay coordinated, even during complex tasks. Oftentimes, plays have so many moving parts that it would be impossible to communicate every important piece without either completely flooding comms or talking over one another, especially if multiple things are happening at once. Similarly, there's only so much that you can come up with in the 30 seconds before a round, as well as a limit on both how complex that idea is and how tight the timings are in order to pull it off. There is a reason that even at the highest level, site hits don't even look remotely similar in ranked and pro play. I mean, look at this execute.
Oh my god, that page shells.
Okay, there's the code.
Like, what is this? Look at this chat! Let's rush the bomb site. Blue wall.
Oh my god, that page shells.
Raining smoke. Nami ult. Fucking, I don't know what that is. Fucking Nasus E all over the site. Incoming nukes. Nukes dropping down. Wall. Pushing over the rocket with rocket launcher flying over. Insane splash grenade. Fucking laser beam from the sky. This guy can't see anything. He sees blue. This guy sees yellow. He sees something. He's flash. This guy peeks. A kill. I can see. I can't see. This guy's casting a spell. More smokes. More rain. More lasers from the sky. Green. This guy's a dog. Sniper. And then the site's taken. Like, what in the fuck is that game?
The second reason is to allow teams to practice timings and test ideas before games. By being able to practice plays beforehand, you can decrease the size of the timing window we mentioned earlier. This obviously increases the potency of plays that were already good, but also allows for more complex plays in general. Alright, next let's talk about why protocol is important. Protocol, more than plays, is the backbone to having good team play in Valorant. This is the case for three reasons. 1. Protocol lets every player on the team use the same decision-making process. This is especially important if you have multiple callers on your team, say a mid-rounder and an IGL. Having a clear set of rules and guidelines lets you both be thinking with consistent logic, rather than trying to call in two different styles. Protocol creates a consistent decision-making process, making it so that everyone can think of the same plays without even communicating. Obviously, this is very similar to the first point, however the main difference here is that this point is talking about micro plays. If you and your teammate can hold a high low just by understanding that it's the right thing to do, that is significantly more efficient than having to tell them to do it. Side note, still communicate your intentions. I'm just making the point that everything will go smoother if you have the same intentions to begin with, and you don't have to communicate every single microplay. This ability is usually called team chemistry. And finally, protocol creates a clear framework to converting rounds. This is the most important reason you would create protocol. It's to reduce the amount of work that play callers on the team have to do in order to win a round. Protocol is specifically designed to create a framework that callers and other members of the team can use in order to win rounds. Great, so now we know why plays and protocol are important, but how do you go about creating these in the first place? Well, Like almost all improvement in competitive Valorant and really competitive esports in general, it starts with scrims. More specifically, it starts in the VOD review of said scrims. Try this method. When you and your team are reviewing a scrim, pick 3 rounds that follow these rules. Oh, and none of these rounds should be eco rounds or anti-eco rounds. For the first round, pick a round that you won easily. For the second round, choose a round that you should have won but you lost. And for the last round, pick a round that you lost on a fast sight hit. Of course, you can pick more rounds, but this is just to get you started. In the first round, I want you to look at the things that made the round so easy to win. What did you do right this round? But also, what mistake did the other team make that made the round so easy? Once you've identified what went right for you and what went wrong for them, we can start to create plays and protocol around it. Was their defensive setup, aka their defensive play, bad? If so, what part of that setup was bad? Did one of their players give up a pick? Did they fail to trade? Find out what sets this round apart from others, then use that information to guide your play and protocol creation. For example, this hold doesn't work at all. Let's make sure we avoid making defensive setups like that, which would be play creation. They lost this fight because the trade was too late and we were able to get both kills. Let's make sure we count down before we swing to avoid this, which is protocol creation. Alright, for the next round, the round that you should have won but lost, I want you to find 3 things. Number 1, what was the advantage that should have made you win the round, i.e. numbers advantage, map control, time, etc. Number 2, when you had the advantage, what would need to happen in order for you to lose the round, aka what is your lose condition? Be as specific as you can be. And number 3, what was the mistake that started the loss of the advantage? Alright, once you've identified these, we can use these to create a guideline to win similar rounds in the future, rather than losing them. All you need to do is verbalize it in this way. In A, and here you would put your advantageous position. For this example, we'll say in a 5v3, we should. And then here would be the rule that prevents the initial mistake, which would be the third thing we focused on in the VOD review. So in this case, we'll say we should group up, for example, in a 5v3 to avoid. And then here would be your lose condition. So what would have to happen for you to lose the round? So let's say get picked off. So in all, it would say in a 5v3, we should group up to avoid getting picked off. Now you have a new piece of protocol, and in theory, you should never lose those rounds again. Obviously, you won't actually never lose those rounds, but that's your framework, and you can expand upon that in the future. Alright, for the last round, which was the round where we lost on a fast hit, we only need to look for 2 things. Why did we lose the round? Was it because our play was bad, or was it because the enemy play was good? Was it both? What conditions led to the play call? Remember to identify those conditions for both yourself, why did you call the play, and the opponent, why did they call their play? Once you've done that, we can do one of 2 things. Either we can adjust the play, or we can identify the conditions that led to the play call being bad, both of which are helpful. Remember that if you make adjustments to the play, it might be best to try and dry run the play before using it in-game again. Alright, TLDR, plays are predefined actions built for specific goals. They help your team coordinate complex ideas and punish opponent tendencies. Protocol, on the other hand, are rules and guidelines that your team follows, and it creates a framework that makes your decision-making process faster, cleaner, and more consistent under pressure. For the next episode, I'm planning on getting into either mid-rounding and adaptation and how improvisation interacts with a structured environment, or tempo and round pacing. I'm still deciding which one comes first, haven't really decided. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. If you found this helpful, I guess comment or something. I don't know. See you in the next one.